Minister Byrne was reported over the weekend, I think Friday of last week, as saying the Irish people are not ready to join NATO yet. And of course, Minister Byrne revealed the agenda, the cynical agenda and the attempt to condition Irish public opinion, exploiting the tragic situation in Ukraine to try and shred the last remnants of Ireland's neutrality. We all, of course, condemn in the strongest terms Putin's bloody imperialist invasion and indeed occupation of Ukraine and the attempt to crush the legitimate right of Ukrainians to self-determination. But if anybody believes for 1 minute that that is what is motivating Irish government policy or the policy of the European Union or the major powers that dominate NATO, particularly the United States, France, the UK and so on, that they have some principled opposition to military occupation, to war, or support legitimate forms of resistance and struggles for self-determination, then they really need to look again at what the European Union is doing. Let's take Palestine. A criminal siege going on for 15 years of Gaza, creating a permanent humanitarian crisis in what is a flagrant and ongoing breach of international law, the imposition of that siege, the ongoing ethnic cleansing of Palestinian people on the West Bank, now 750,000 illegal settlers on land that under international law is Palestinian law, any sanctions against Israel, any mention in the Taoiseach speech about sanctions against Israel, any support for Palestinian armed self-resistance against an illegal occupation. Not at all. If a Palestinian picked up a gun, there would be condemnation all round. And I'm not proposing they do, by the way, pick up guns, but could we at least take the guns out of the Israelis' hands? Could we stop arming the Israelis? Could we stop giving favourable trade status to the Israelis? Not a word, because Israel is an ally of the powers that dominate the European Union and NATO, so we don't care what crimes they commit against the Palestinian people, and we most certainly aren't going to do anything about those crimes. But another example of the gross hypocrisy and double standards at work in the European Union, our government policy, and this is particularly disgraceful, is the Western Saharan situation. We had representatives of the occupied, oppressed people of Western Sahara subject to a brutal military occupation by Morocco since the 1970s. Under the United Nations believe it is an unjust occupation, and most importantly, the European Court of Justice has issued 3 rulings saying that the deal, the trade deal and the fisheries deal, concluded over the last number of years between the European Union and Morocco to steal the fish of the people of Western Sahara and to steal their phosphates is illegal, and the European courts annulled that deal. But the European Council and the European Commission have appealed the rulings of the European courts, and Ireland went along with it. Absolutely outrageous. The only country had the courage to stand with European legal decisions and international law in insisting that the people of Western Sahara had the right to self-determination and the right to oppose a deal where they had not played any role in assenting to, which is required under international law, with Sweden. Ireland pathetically and outrageously goes along with that. And then, of course, there's Saudi Arabia. Let's not forget about them. Who, by the way, and this is the irony, we're going to increase our imports of energy from Saudi Arabia, who have simultaneously increased their oil and gas imports from, guess who? Russia. Saudi Arabia are effectively laundering Russian gas and oil at the moment. But we're going to do more deals with the Saudis to deal with our energy crisis, the most brutal and autocratic regime imaginable. So let's do away with the hypocrisy. What the Irish government wants to do is shred our military neutrality, our not just military, our political neutrality, which we should retain, abandon the traditions that founded this state, the revolutionary traditions that founded this state, and join with the hypocrites and warmongers like the United States, France, Britain and so on, whose foreign policy is riddled with double standards.
Deputy.